Hey guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a video of all of my 5-star reads I've read so far in the first almost 4 months of the year. I know that McKay from McKay just did, I think, her 4 and 5-star reads of the year. I did do this last year, so I will definitely link McKay's video, and I can link my video from last year if you're interested in checking it out. I'm just doing my 5-star reads, and I'm only doing my contemporary romances, or I think there might be one fantasy romance on here. The historical romances, I just did a video talking about my recent 5-star reads, so I feel like that was been really repetitive if I did historicals in this video as well. So I can link my historical 5-star read video down below if you're interested in that, but these are just contemporary or fantasy romances, a lot of dark romances, all but one are indie published. So I have a lot of great reads. I think I put them in order. There's a lot of dark romances on here, but that's just what I've been loving lately, and I have included a couple 4.5-star reads that I feel like should have been rounded up to 5, but I did leave off some other 4.5-star reads that were more like lower to the 4 side. So I will go ahead and get to all the 5-star books I read so far this year, and let me know what your top 5-star reads are this year, because I'm definitely looking for more. And I'm excited to read more from these authors because I read in January some amazing books that I'm excited to talk about. My first 5-star read was my first read of the year and the only traditionally published book on this list. That is The 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This one I read for that BuzzFeed video I did where I was reading the top romances of 2021, and this one I had never read last year because I did not know it was a romance. I don't know, I've never seen anybody put it on like a romance list until all the romance lists of the year were coming out, and I was like, that's a romance? I love the cover, and it just looks more like regular general fiction to me, but it's a romance. It's definitely romance. I love this one. We have a single mother, and our 2 characters had met when they were younger, and they were both going through really rough times, and then the hero just disappeared and never talked to her again, and so now they're reconnected. The hero is a writer, and the heroine's also a writer, but they write very different genres, and they reconnect. It's very, very emotional, and I was so engrossed in their stories, especially because our heroine is a single mom to an older daughter, and she suffers from chronic migraines. Our hero, some stuff is making him not able to fully commit to their relationship. So definitely emotional. I really enjoyed this. I'm super happy I picked it up. First 5-star read of the year, first read of the year, just you need to pick this up. So a bunch of these I read because I was reading like people's favorite books of 2021, and they ended up being my favorites. So the next 2 I believe were books 3 and 4 I read in the year, and they were immediate 5-star reads. Still Beaten by Jennifer Hartman, absolutely no surprise. I just talked about this in the last video I put up on my channel, which is my emotional reads that wrecked me. This book wrecked me, and I've seen a few friends read it and absolutely love it as well. It's very, very dark though. Our hero and our heroine hate each other. He's engaged to her sister, and they've hated each other for like a decade. They just have this bantering, hateful relationship, and they're kidnapped together, and obviously that creates a bond between people, but they are forced to do things because of the kidnapper that are very dark and on page and hard to read, but then they do escape. And so the rest of the book is them trying to figure out how to live after they escape, and it's their romance. And so it's definitely very angsty because he is literally engaged to her sister, but it is so dark and just so hard emotionally to read. But I love that kind of romance, so I absolutely love this one. I loved watching 2 people who only understand what each other goes through. They're the only ones, and so they need each other, but they're trying to integrate back into society, but no one understands what they went through but each other, and something happened when they were kidnapped that they need to address. So I need to reread this. Like, I want to reread this and annotate it because I'm doing that right now with Inked and Lies by Joanna Darling, which is one of my favorite books, because I need to revisit this and just take my time to absorb it. I just loved it. Next one, you guys know I'm obsessed with Waking Olivia by Elizabeth O'Rourke. I need to read more. Oh, I did buy 2 other Jennifer Hartman books, and I need to read more by Elizabeth O'Rourke because this book is about a runner, and I always say this, I love running, and so I felt that special connection with the heroine, but she has a very traumatic past. So she experienced something that is causing her to go on night runs, so she feels a need to escape, so she runs in her sleep, and she'll run literal miles in her sleep and wake up miles away and have to come back home and then have to go to cross-country practice the next day. And so she's not in top shape for those practices, but she is a very, very talented runner that should be running in D1 schools, but she gets kicked out, and now she's running at this like D3 school. She is like their shining chance at like winning, and the coach immediately butts heads with her because he's like, this girl's an attitude, she's kicked out of other school, she shows up exhausted to practice, like she's not taking this seriously. But he slowly starts to realize there's more to her, and he feels protective of her. His mom is in the picture too. He does have a girlfriend through a lot of this, so people are mad about that. I could care less if there's cheating. I know that sounds bad, but if they are not cheating on each other, I don't really care. Like, he was so adamant that he did not like her, and that's why he was trying to stay with this other woman, so I didn't mind it, but just know that, because I know it bothers people, but it was so good. And he's only a few years older. He's like 24 and she's like 21, so it's not like a huge giant age gap since he is her coach, but I absolutely love this one. I do want to reread this one too. It's going to be a top of the year. It was just so good. Then another book I read I think I read this for my subscribers' favorite romances. I read All Roads Lead Here, and I was just blown away by it. I've been hesitant with Mariana Zapata because I don't love a lot of her recent books I've read. Like Luke Off with Love, I absolutely loved. Colty, Winnipeg, obsessed. But I read Wait For It, and it was a 4-star read. It was good, but I haven't like obsessed over her books. But this one I was obsessed with. So our heroine is just out of a very, very long relationship that did not end well. She goes back to her hometown where her mother had disappeared, and she rents out this garage from someone, and it turns out it was the guy's son that rented it out and not the actual guy himself. He's a single dad, and so he's this big grumpy, I never remember the name. He's like a wilderness officer person. I'm so annoyed. Someone always tells me in the comments what it's called, and I'm like, duh, that's what it's called, but I don't remember ever what it's called. He's one of those people that like is like a ranger. I don't know, but he's mad that she moves in, but then they slowly start to get to know each other. It's super slow burn, but I loved her relationship with his son, and she's just trying to go on an emotional growth journey because she is also trying to get closure with her mom disappearing. So amazing, 5 stars. I would definitely recommend checking this out. One of the few I do not own physically on this list is Grip by Kennedy Ryan. I absolutely adore Kennedy Ryan. I'm going to see her at a signing this summer, so I definitely want to collect this series. But this one was, I wasn't going to put rereads on this list because I'm rereading the Fallen Men series and I didn't put them on this list, and this is actually a reread. So I guess this shouldn't be on this list, but I'll talk about it anyways. This one is about Grip and Bristol. They had a prequel where they met, had an amazing night together, but something had happened that just tore them apart. And so Grip is actually best friends with Bristol's brother, and Grip is a musician, and Bristol is now an agent kind of for musicians, and it's their romance, and there's a lot that goes into here. Grip has to deal with racism and an experience where Bristol is there, and she just never understood it really until she saw it firsthand, and it terrified her, and there are people who don't agree with her being with him because she is white and he is black, and it was very emotional, and they go through a lot, and I've heard they go through even more in book 2, but I don't want to pick it up yet because I'm terrified. But Kennedy Ryan knows how to write a very, very emotional book, and this one is like they're destined to be together. There is literally no other woman in the world for Grip but Bristol, and so I love this one. 5 stars, like without a question. Kennedy Ryan will always be on this list. There's another book by her on this list, which actually is the next one, I guess, so we'll go ahead and talk about that. This is Hookshot, and this one I gave 4.5, but I rounded up to 5 for this video because this one is so good. This is Lotus and I never remember his name, Keenan's story, and Keenan's a basketball player, and he is a single dad, and the mom is still around, so it's not like he's like solely responsible for his daughter. But this is where they really do meet and fall in love, but they need to take care of other things before they can commit to each other, which is so sad because they acknowledge like they're so absolutely head over heels in love with each other, but there are things they need to prioritize first, and one of them being Keenan's daughter. And so she does experience a lot of hardships, and I just really love this book though. I feel like it was a little slow, like it's a long book and there were parts where the plot like kind of slowed down just because that's reality, but I still adore this one. Gave it 5 stars. Then I read Unhinged by Onley James, and this one was everything I needed at the time of reading it. This one is an psychopath romance. So the one hero is a psychopath, and he is adopted by this doctor who has adopted a bunch of psychopathic children to harness their tendencies for good. He assigns them people to kill who are evil. So it was so good because he is confronted by the son of a guy he killed, and the son is like, I know you killed my father, and then he has to tell him why he killed his father, and it's their romance, and they kind of go on this journey together of kind of a revenge of someone was working with the guy's father, and it is just so wholesome. But not because it's literally psychopaths killing people, but like their romance was so cute and I was obsessed with it, and I love the family dynamic and how the other hero like had to integrate into the family but was kind of nervous, and it was just so cute, and I'm so excited to continue the series. I could not recommend this book enough, and it's gonna be good. I'm definitely, like I said, excited to continue on and meet all the other characters and their love interests. Then another one is The Heir by Sophie Lark. Sophie Lark was in my top for a couple, I think at least a book by her last year. 3 of her books are on my list this year. She is just on another level when it comes to her romances, and I feel like her writings just got better. So The Heir was the first book in the Kingmaker series, and then I stopped because I have to go back and finish other books before I continue on in this series. But this is Anna and Leo's story, and they're actually best friends, and they've grown up best friends, and so they're supposed to like see each other as cousins, but this is the time where they're like, we kind of actually really like each other. And so they decided to go to the school together because they were seniors at the beginning of this book, and now they're going to college. And the college is really cool because it's broken up, and it's kind of like Hogwarts for Mafia kids. It's broken up into sections of like what kind of Mafia child you are and like what your future is. So there's like, these guys are going to be like the heads of the Mafia. These ones are like the people who kill people, and like these guys are the smart ones. And so like it's all divided in that. But they have games divided up by grade level, and so Leo is like the head of the freshman class, and it's so action-packed and so entertaining, and I literally could not put this book down. But we do have Dean, who comes in, who is a very villainous character, and I know he gets his own book. I absolutely hate him in this book, and he kind of sabotages Anna, and not even kind of, he literally sabotages their relationship so that Anna is like kind of feels like she has to be with Dean and can't be with Leo anymore, and it's just like so frustrating, but the angst is so good, and I love this so much. It's friends to lovers too, which I love, and this was just amazing. And again, I'm going to say I'm excited to continue on the series because I am almost done with the Brutal Birthright series. I have one more to go, and then I'm going to jump into the first 2 in the Mafia other series. I don't remember what that series is called, but like Ivan and Snow, I need to read those, and then I'll jump back into this series finally and hopefully be caught up soon. Every Saturday I have to film. I film on the weekends because I have a full-time job during the week, and without a doubt, during spring and summer, someone has to mow their lawn while I film, because I film around noon. That's when I can film, but hopefully you cannot hear that in the background. But the next one is Business Casual by Danielle Allen. This book is so good. Our heroine is a freelancer, and she gets an interview with a company, with a bank, and I think she works in like social media, and in the lobby, she meets this man. And there is like immediate attraction. They are so attracted to each other. They have like instant chemistry, and they start talking, and he's like, you want to go out? And she's like, sure. And you see where this is going. She gets up to go to her interview, and he is one of the owners of the company. And there is a huge non-fraternization clause in their contract because something has happened in the past. So they're like, no relations whatsoever with anybody who works for this company. She gets hired, and they're like, you know, you're not officially on payroll until tomorrow. So they have a one night together, and they're like, it's just gonna be a one night stand, it's fine, but they cannot keep their hands off of each other, and it is just absolutely amazing. I love this book so much tension and chemistry between them. They can't keep their hands off of each other in and out of the office, and I loved it so much. They have to sneak around, and they know that they really shouldn't be doing this because they both are so passionate about their jobs, but he will also do anything to protect her. I'm obsessed with this book. You have to read it. So then I have Mafia Romances again. I read Ruthless Creatures. This is the special edition I got from her website. If you guys are interested, JT Geisinger did post this at her website. I think Madison from Princess of Paperback had gotten it on Amazon like accidentally, but they're now on her website. This book is so good. So this one is not my favorite in the series. The second one is my favorite in the series, but this is about our heroine who lost her fiance like the day before their wedding, and it's been 5 years. He just disappeared, and so she's been grieving a lot, and a new mysterious hot man moves in next door. He is there for a reason, for her, but they fall in love, and then it quickly turns into, oh my gosh, like you are with some bad people, and what is your life? And so this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It's such a great introduction to the series. It's definitely a little insta-lovey, but I did not mind that, and just like knowing that this is the journey to get to book 2 makes me appreciate it even more, because her best friend is who book 2 is about, and her best friend, we see the scene where like she pretty much starts a mafia war in this book. So it's really good. Highly recommend checking the series out, and I'm gonna gush about book 2 in a second. I was definitely in a Mafia romance mood. I'm pretty sure I did a vlog, but next I read Reaper by A. Zavarelli. This is book 2 in the Boston Underworld series. This was amazing. Our hero, it reminds me a lot of Raised by Tilly Cole. Our hero was pretty much raised to be a killer, and he was put into these horrible situations to make him very animalistic, and like he had to kill people to survive. And so we get a lot of those flashbacks, but our heroine works at a club, and her mom is dying of cancer, and so she has, I'm pretty sure she works at a club because she is in dangerous relationships. She has never been able to get out of these relationships with these mafia men. They see her, they want her, they take her. And so she's in a really bad relationship, and our hero is the killer for his mafia. So he takes matters into his own hands, and he is touch her and you die. He will kill people who treat her wrong. They have a special bond. They've never done anything about it, but then this is them finally doing something about it. But our hero is very damaged from his past, and so it's really hard for him to open up and talk to her, and he kind of freaks out over situations. But I love this book so much. I love the series so much. And again, it's another series I'm very excited to continue on. Just like I do need to catch up on book 3 in this series, but I have a lot of series I need to catch up on. But these are series I love, so I want to savor them. But this was amazing. Then I think the only novella on this list is Thin Ice by Cassie Mint. This is a coach-athlete romance for figure skating. He is older, he is Scottish, he is amazing. Our heroine is with her partner, and her partner has been acting a little off, and the hero is so possessive and protective of her and jealous of her partner, and very short, very steamy, just so amazing. If you want ice skating, taboo romance, just pick this up and you won't regret it. Okay, we're gonna go back to another Mafia romance, and that is Mafia Mistress by Mila Finelli. I did give this 4.5 stars, but I'm gonna put it on this list because I'm obsessed with it. Our heroine is pretty much taken against her will to Italy to marry a mafia man's son, and it was like a deal between her father and the other guy's father, but it's her romance with the other guy's father. So she is engaged to this guy who's her age. They're friends. She doesn't have a problem with him, but his dad infuriates her in a steamy way, and they end up having an affair, but he's not married or anything. It's just like, you're my mistress, like you are here to please me, and that's your role. And that's this book. I love how she fights back so much, and how she was determined not to be in the mafia life. Like, she wanted to go to college, she wanted a good education, she wanted to be able to do what she wants to do and not be stuck like her mom was, but now she is. And this one definitely had a cliffhanger, and I can't wait to pick up the second one. Again, you shouldn't be surprised, I have not finished this duet yet, but I'm going to, because I need to figure out what happens next to them. And I loved when I opened this book and I read the first chapter, and the second chapter was from the dad's perspective. It was a nice surprise. You should pick this up. Then I read Cardinal Urges, and this is book 2, and this one is a kidnap romance as well. I'm thinking of doing a captor-captive romance, so I know a lot of people have been doing those lately, so I was gonna wait a little bit to do one. But this one, he kidnaps her because she started a mafia war, and her hero's angry, and I think it was Sloane. She was hilarious. She was so funny, and it's Declan and Sloane. Yeah, so she is like unlike any heroine I've ever read. She does not care. She is like, you're gonna kidnap me? Okay. And she is not like terrified or anything. She talks back. There's so much banter in here, and the hero is so infuriated with her but starts to fall for her, and it was so good. And even like all the mafia guys from his mafia like start to love her, like not romantically, but just like they start to feel protective of her, and they really enjoy her company, and it's so funny. And then she gets very defensive of them as well, and I just love that connection. And the hero slowly starts to fall for her, even though he's angry with her because he thinks that she is like in love with this other mafia guy that started the war over her for, and she's just like, I just was dating guys, like it's not my fault they all fall madly in love with me. And it's so fun. I love this so much. And there's a bazooka scene that I talk about every time I talk about this book, but I'm just like, Declan, that is his woman. And so it was so good. I could not recommend this enough. Another series where I'm like, I have to finish book 3 because book 4 I think is coming out soon if it hasn't come out yet. And I'm just obsessed with this author's mafia world, and I need to read more. Another mafia romance is The Brit by Jodie Ellen Malpass. This one is very, very dark and very long, but I really enjoyed it, and I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it until like me and my friends started reading it. And so this one is, our hero is bullied and abused by his father, and so this like mafia leader is walking by, sees him and helps him and gives him money, and then ends up killing his father. So he's pretty much adopted by this mafia leader and taken to America and inherits like his kingdom. And our heroine is being blackmailed into finding secrets from people. So right now she's working with a politician, dating him, but really trying to get secrets from him, and our hero kidnaps her, and then she stays because she is being blackmailed to get stuff out of him. And it's really good. There are a lot of dark things in here. There's self-harm. Make sure you know that going in because it's on-page graphic. And our heroine just feels like lost. They bond over the want and need to get revenge on people because they've both been wronged horribly in their past. So it was a very dark but very good mafia romance that I'm excited to continue on in this series as well. I'm literally broken record. I've not read the next book in the series, but I want to. A lighthearted one is Stuck With You by Allie Hazelwood. I think this one's my favorite. out of all of them. And this one is where the hero and the heroine have a one-night stand and they just click. They have such a good time together. They have a lot in common, but then the next day, the heroine finds something out and cuts off the hero. And the hero, there's a misunderstanding. Emily Hazelwood loves miscommunication. There's a misunderstanding. He thinks it's because he did something wrong that night when it's something completely different. So he's horrified that he like offended her or hurt her in some way. And now they're stuck in an elevator together and the power gets out and they're stuck in this elevator. So they're forced to work things out. And I usually don't like the miscommunication trope, but this was so cute. And there's so much fleshed out between them in such a short amount of time. And I just really enjoyed it. The third book I did enjoy, but not as much as this one. Definitely my favorite in the 3 books she came out with. Then I have another Sophie Lark. That is Bloody Heart. This one I know not a lot of people super love, but I love a good second chance romance and I just love this book so much. So our hero and our heroine, they meet because our hero is escaping a bad mafia situation and our heroine is at this gala at the same hotel and she's like taking a moment in the car. He decides to steal the car because he thinks no one's in there and he steals it and she is like intrigued and they end up falling in love, but they cannot be together and so they're ripped apart and like because her family is like absolutely no way, so they're ripped apart and years pass, like literal years pass, and he is such a brooding hardened hero now. He went into the military and she had a child, I'll just say that, so there is a child involved. She's a single mom because he doesn't know that she had a child and now they're reconnected because of circumstances. They end up having to be around each other and he works in security now and is protecting someone she knows and it is really good. I really love this one and there's a lot of action involved as well because something happens at the end where you're like, oh my gosh, how are they gonna get out of this situation? And they set up the next book really well with certain characters. So I just love the angstiness of this romance and I love a good romance where it takes some years to be together, that we have a time jump. I know there's some people that hate that. I love it, so I love this one. Then I read 5 Rounds by Nikki Castle that I was obsessed with. This is an MMA romance. Our hero's an MMA fighter and our heroine works out at the gym a lot that he goes to and she is best friends with his roommate, but they hate each other. Like they are rivals. They just make horrible remarks to each other and they push each other's buttons, and so she's kicked out of her apartment and there's like a week gap where she can move into a new one that she found, and her best friend is going to be on a business trip, so they're like, hey, take my room, it'll be fine, and that means she has to move in with Tristan, and they have a lot of steamy encounters and they fall for each other and it's so good. There's so much angst at the end of this because then they don't want to be together and they like push each other away even though they really like each other, and even Tristan the hero shows so much emotion and vulnerability and I loved that in this book, and so they were both so miserable, which sounds horrible that I loved, but this was just so good. I really love this one, and we have a lot of MMA and working out in here, which I love because I love when we have athletes and get to see them in their sport, so love this one so much. And again, I'm excited to read the next book in the series because they did set that up very well. Then I picked up Second Semester by Hubie Tyler and I was obsessed with this one. This is a dad's best friend romance. Our heroine, she does like everything correct. She is always the good girl. She never breaks rules. She is in her last year in college. She has this internship at her dad's law firm, which means she works closely with her dad's best friend, who is definitely a womanizer. He always hooks up with all the new women in the law office and they end up falling for each other. And it's out of character for her because she's a goody two-shoes, but it is so good. This one was just so good. I mean, book 1 I really enjoyed. I gave 4 stars, but this was without a doubt 5 stars. Such a good forbidden romance, and the hero like genuinely starts falling for her, and of course you're like, when are they gonna tell her dad? When's he gonna find out? And I just really love this one. And he has a son that's like not too much younger than her, so that adds another layer. And he has his ex-wife that's another layer as well. So this one, just really good. The next one's Broken Vow. This one was even better than what everybody said it was. It is a cowboy bodyguard romance. Our heroine's a lawyer and she is very icy and distant with people, and someone's trying to kill her. So she is related to like the mafia people through this book. So like her brother and the other family that her family is married into, they agree to help protect her. So they get him to protect her, and it's like Raylan, I think. Yeah, it's Raylan. And Raylan is the friend from the previous book that helped him with something. He is an assassin, but he also grew up on a ranch, and they have to go back to his family ranch to hide out from the people trying to kill her, and they fall so hard for each other. I really love this. He's so protective of her, really pushes her out of her comfort zone and forces her to think about her life and what she wants out of life, and It was absolutely amazing. Like, I read this in a day and I'm obsessed. 5 stars. Like, could not stop thinking about it. My favorite of the series. And the last one I have to share is The Dragon's Bride by Katie Roberts. This was such a fun surprise. Our heroine has been in an abusive relationship for 13 years. So she strikes up a deal with a demon to give him herself for 7 years, and she is able to be auctioned off to someone for 7 years through the demon, and he will take her away from her abusive husband. He kills her husband and she is free, and she's put up on auction and bought by this dragon. And he needs to procreate for his people, and she is like, I'm not gonna have a child if I'm leaving in 7 years. And so they start falling in love, and he's so gentle and like patient and consenting with her. Like, he always makes sure everything is okay and what she wants, and there's a little bit of monster fantasy in here. I don't know how to describe that, but so it's not all like, oh, he's like so nice. Like, there is like danger involved in what she wants. That's really hard to explain, but I just really love this one. It was just such a surprise. I had so much fun reading it, and I had read a couple monster romances before this that were okay. This one was so much better than those, so that's why I gave it 5 stars, and I'm excited to read the next one about the Kraken. But she also like knew everything going in. Like, she was told by the demon, this is like the parameters of this deal, and you have the consent to everything. You can consent to children or not, that's totally up to you, but he cannot break your contract without consequences. So she's pretty protected in this scenario, even though she's being like auctioned off. But I really love this one. Definitely recommend reading it, and I'm obsessed with the cover. And those are my 5-star reads so far this year. Let me know if you've read any of these and if you enjoyed them and what your 5-star reads this year are. I would love to hear. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.